What is going on, world? Joshua here, and welcome to my channel where my passion is to help you build confidence, radiate positivity, and change the world. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do so because I'm putting out videos every single week with the hopes of adding value to you. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the Liberation Pledge, this little bracelet thing. Ouch, fork bracelet. Let's see if it focuses. Come on, camera. All right. This is the Liberation Pledge, or a symbol for the Liberation Pledge. And I've been getting asked about this so much recently on social media, so I thought I'd make a video about it. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about a few things. One, what is the Liberation Pledge? Two, why I decided to take the pledge. And three, if you should take the pledge. And then make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm also going to be answering a few common questions that I have been getting about the pledge. But for today's video, let's get started. The Liberation Pledge, what is it? So to simplify things, there's three parts to it, three steps, whatever you want to call it. One is to publicly refuse to eat animals, live vegan. Two, to publicly refuse to sit at tables where the products of animals are being served. And three, to help encourage other people to take the pledge. See, it is that simple. And I know some of you might be saying, whoa, like veganism's already extreme. Not sitting at a table where people are eating animals, that's even more extreme. But wait until the end of the video because I'm going to clarify a few things. Now you know what the pledge is, the basic idea behind it. Now I want to talk to you about why I decided to take the pledge. I used to be someone that was able to sit at any table with anyone eating any animal products as long as I was eating vegan. I used it as a chance to positively educate and inspire the people that I was with. I used it as an outreach opportunity. I was able to show that by being vegan, you can still eat really healthy and really tasty food. But it wasn't until this last Christmas when I was in Munich, Germany, when things started to change. I had been experimenting with the idea in my head of taking this pledge, of making this public statement to refuse to sit at a table where animal products are being served. So my mind was already in that headspace. And yeah, so I was in Munich, Germany, and I got invited by my host to go to a Christmas Eve dinner with her family. She was really mindful about me, not wanting to be around animal products as much as I could. So she did tell me that there were going to be animal products there. And so I knew what was happening. I knew what was going to go on. But I toyed around with the idea of going, not going a bunch of times. Like, it took me way too long to make this decision. But at the end of it, I decided to go to this dinner. And I get to the house, and it was beautiful, and the family was really nice, but sitting on the table were little chunks of raw meat, literally like the worst meal I could have gone to. Just little chunks of raw meat, and they were taking skewers and dipping that in boiling oil. It was absolutely disgusting. So I sat down at this table when everyone was eating, and I was eating my vegan meal with my vegan host as well. But my headspace was filled with so much negativity. Like, it was such a toxic environment. I'm usually Mr. Positive and I'm always chatty and always energetic, but this was different. All I could do was stare at literally the cut up pieces of animals. And all I could do was look at the people consuming those animal products and judge them. Not because I wanted to judge them as individuals, but like I was judging them for contributing to this, for being people to not be able to make that connection and see these animals for who they are or who they were. And I wasn't able to focus on my meal. I wasn't present. I wasn't having fun. I wasn't positive. It was just a toxic environment. And I went back and forth deciding, like, should I take the pledge? Should I not? How's my family going to react? How are my friends going to react? But then I started to think self-awareness. All that really matters is how I feel and what's going on in here and what's going on in here. So that's when I took that sort of hard decision and was like, I'm going to take the Liberation Pledge, and I'm doing this for myself. Yes, it's a great statement to make to the world that I'm publicly refusing to, one, not only consume animal products, but I'm choosing not to sit at a table where animal products are being served. I think this is a massive statement. So that's my story, my long story, short story ramble about how I took the Liberation Pledge. I hope that resonated with some of you. But I want to talk about now if the pledge is for you, whether or not you should take the pledge. If you already taken the pledge, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your story. Also, if you're sort of back and forth between the pledge, let me know as well. I'd love to hear that process for you. But the question, should you take the pledge? This is something that only you can answer for yourself. Like I said, self-awareness is so important in this situation because you got to dig deep. You got to listen to your heart. You got to listen to your mind. You got to understand how you're feeling in these environments and weigh out the pros and the cons and see if it's worth it to put yourself through this frustration, this anger, this emotion. Is it necessary? Is it unnecessary? What I would say is ask yourself a few questions. 1, how is my mental state when I'm sitting at a table with someone eating animal products? 2, how am I feeling? Am I feeling happy, positive, and energetic, or am I feeling negative, frustrated, angry, and sad? 3, am I judging people? Am I using my mental space to sit there and fill it with negativity while I judge people for being conditioned to eat animal products? And also, are you able to be present? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you having a good time? Or are you sitting there just thinking about all this negativity like I did, putting myself back in the position of when I was doing slaughterhouse work and doing outreach with someone who was giving me every justification for why they had to continue eating bacon, or inside a factory farm, inside a dairy farm? I mean, where are you? How are you feeling in this environment? Because if you don't want to be in this environment and it's not filling your headspace with the thoughts that you want, if you're judging people, if you're not feeling happy and positive, and if you want to do everything you can to get out of that environment or that situation, the Liberation Pledge is probably for you. And I think that by the time you've finished answering these questions for yourself, the answer is going to be simple. You're going to know if this pledge is for you or not. I really think that it's going to come from deep down within. No one else is going to tell you whether or not you should take this pledge. And I don't think this pledge has to be for everyone right now. Honestly, I think there should be a balance. While people are still figuring out if they want to take the pledge or not, we should have the people over here that are taking the Liberation Pledge and that are making that public statement and that are doing something to respect the animals that are being killed every second of every day. And you should have the people over here that aren't sure about the pledge yet, are still understanding how they feel, and then putting themselves in a position where they can still advocate for the animals at a meal until one day they make the transition to taking the pledge. Because I truly think that, imagine if every single vegan in the world took the Liberation Pledge. This would be a really powerful statement to the non-vegans, to the carnists in the world. They would see that, wow, like my friend, my family member, they're vegan, they're an activist, but now they're choosing to not publicly sit with me. This has to mean something. That's why the Liberation Pledge is so powerful. But like I said, I think right now there is that balance. Just because you're vegan doesn't mean you have to take the pledge. I'm always going to encourage people to move towards taking that pledge if it works for them. If your heart and if your mind is telling you that this is something you need to do, you should do it. And the Liberation Pledge to me is really important because I focus a lot of my time and energy on sustainable activism and helping activists build more confidence, speak with more conviction, and sustain their activism long term. And I think putting yourself in this toxic environment, if it is for you, eating with non-vegans and seeing animal products on the table, that's going to utilize so much energy that we could be using elsewhere, that we could be turning into positive activism while on the street, or leafleting, or making videos, or social media posts. I know in the beginning of my activism, every time I would have a conversation with someone at a meal that was surrounded by animal products, I would feel drained afterwards. And so I think one thing that we need to do in order to sustain our activism long term is take care of ourselves. Self-love and self-care. And if you're sitting at a table eating a meal and your headspace is filled with toxic negative energy and you're not being able to be present and it's just not a good environment for you, this isn't the right way to take care of yourself. That's why I think the Liberation Pledge is something that we all need to be considering. And the last thing I want to talk about in regards to if you should take the Liberation Pledge is really trying to figure out if you want to be compromising your values and your beliefs for someone else. I know that's easier said than done, but I got to a point in my life when I said, these are my values, these are my beliefs, and I don't care what anyone else thinks about that if I'm living true to them. And now I don't think you should be like, I don't care what anyone else thinks. We should be mindful of our family and our friends and people that's in our lives. I'm just saying we shouldn't compromise. You know, if you have this ingrained value and belief system inside and you don't want to be present around animal products, you shouldn't have to be. So ask yourself those questions that I talked about and see if this pledge is for you. But first, before you go making your fork bracelet and deciding if you're going to take the pledge, I want to answer a few questions that I get asked every single week regarding the Liberation Pledge. Question number 1, why the fork? Hold on, I'll take this off again. Autofocus camera. I made this fork myself. It has liberation engraved on it. So the fork is just an international symbol for the Liberation Pledge, and it's showing support to other people who have taken the pledge as well. The fork is a tool, a utensil that is indirectly used to cause a lot of pain and suffering in this world. So by bending the fork, it's an act of nonviolence, and it's us reclaiming this tool. You can say bend your fork, not your values, that sort of thing as well, forks over knives. However you want to look at it, this fork is just a symbol for the Liberation Pledge. And I've engraved liberation on here as a constant reminder as to why I took the pledge. And every time I look at this fork, I see the products, I see the animals, the individuals that I used to have at the end of this fork. And it's just that reminder to me of why I'm living the lifestyle I am. And also, the fork is a really amazing conversation starter. Probably a couple times a week when I'm out in public, on a bus, train, plane, someone's like, ooh, that's a beautiful bracelet. Is that a fork on your wrist? And in my mind, I'm like, ooh, I'm glad you asked. Let me talk to you about it. And when I explain what the fork symbolizes and why I wear the fork, people are really receptive to it in a positive way, and it resonates with them. And I've actually had a lot of people make that connection between the animals that are living and then the food that they're eating. So it's been a really nice conversation starter and a platform for me to do outreach on. So that's the fork. Question number 2, if I am not at the meal where animal products are being served, how am I supposed to advocate for the animals? How am I supposed to promote veganism? Well, I do think that this isn't for everyone, obviously, so there's still going to be people that are at the tables with non-vegans, educating them and inspiring them to take veganism seriously. But what I truly think and what I've found is that when you take the Liberation Pledge, and let's say you are talking with your family and they go out to dinner and you don't, they're going to be talking about you at that meal. By you taking this stand, by you refusing to sit at a table where animal products are being eaten, this is speaking volumes. You don't have to say anything else, but that conversation is going to carry on out into the other person's meal. They're still going to talk about it. It's still going to be a topic of conversation, and they might make their own little connection that, wow, if he or she won't even come out to the meal with us, this must mean something to them. So maybe they'll take it a little bit seriously, or maybe they'll take it a little bit more seriously. So that's what I think about not sitting at a table with animal products in regards to how are you supposed to have that outreach conversation. There's always going to be someone to have that conversation for you. If it's you or not, that's a different story, but by you refusing to do this, it's you not compromising your values and beliefs. You are showing respect to the animals that are having their lives taken every second of every day, and by you not participating in that meal, that's speaking volumes. That's outreach in itself. And question number 3, how can I bring it up to my family and friends without pushing people even further away? This is an amazing question and probably the one I get asked the most. Now, I don't think you should just rock up to one of your family meals, sit down at the table and be like, oh, there's animal products? Nuh-uh, I can't sit here with you. You are horrible people. I think this is your ticket to a very toxic environment and a lot of negativity and hostility and anger and frustration and probably a lot of arguments. So don't do that. I don't advise you on that. What I recommend doing with everything, vegan outreach or speaking with family and friends about any topic regarding veganism, is be open, be honest, and be true to yourself and to them. So I try to avoid the situation, avoid being in that environment at all costs. So if I know I'm going to be going to a meal, I could call the person, I could speak with the person and say, hey, I've taken this Liberation Pledge and I wanted to chat with you a little bit about it. This is what it is. I would love to spend some time with you, but I just don't want to do it surrounded by animal products. Can you understand that? Can you see where I'm coming from? We eat a meal together once every week or once a month. Do you think that meal could be at a vegan restaurant? Or do you think I could cook a vegan meal for you? How does that sound? How do you feel about this? give them space to communicate and let you know how they feel. You might be surprised that they'll be really accepting of the fact that this is what you want to do, and ultimately honor that and allow you to be present where no animal products are being served. Another thing you can do is spend your time with family and friends when it's not surrounding food. Go out and do things. Go kayaking, go surfing, go on a walk. Do things with your family and friends, not involving food. I know this is a lot harder for some people, so what I would say is really just try to promote it to them or to bring it up to them in a really compassionate and understanding way. Get their opinion, how they feel on this pledge, so that you don't come from a place of judgment and anger and hostility. And I think you'll see that majority of family and friends will respect that. Now, it's a little harder if you are living at home and eating 2 to 3 meals a day with your family. This is what I'm talking about, is maybe the Liberation Pledge isn't right for everyone at a specific moment in time. You know, I live the pledge out wholeheartedly to the extreme, but I'm also mindful of everyone else on their own journey while being vegan and the current life situation that they're in. Maybe the pledge isn't right for you now. Maybe you live the pledge in 95% of your life, and then the 5% of the time that you eat with your family, if it's not working, if they won't accept it and you don't want to ruin that relationship, maybe you just put it aside for that moment while you're eating with them. Part of me agrees with that, but now I'm going back in my head. Part of me says take the stand. I think, like I said, this is going to be a decision that you are going to have to make. There's no Liberation Pledge police running around there getting you in trouble if you're not living it out to its full extent. I just say try. I say look deep down within and find out what is best for you. Mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever's in your heart, do what's best for you and don't compromise your values and beliefs. So that does it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed my little chat about the Liberation Pledge, why I took the pledge, and if you should. If you have any questions, make sure to leave those in the comment section below. If you have any photos of you taking the Liberation Pledge, tag me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, at Joshua Entis. And just keep being you, keep fighting for the animals, and keep living a lifestyle that is more compassionate, more fulfilling, healthier, and better for humanity, this planet, and all the animals, all of that fun stuff. Thank you again for watching, but for now, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date with all of my future videos. I think that's it for this video. Once again, thank you for watching. I truly appreciate you all. Your love and support means the world to me. But for now, much love from Oslo, Norway. And if you haven't already, make sure to choose compassion. Peace.